Hey, greetings everybody and welcome back to the Air Warfare Group. This is Juice, and today's video is about third-party, or what we also call unofficial modules or mods, and how they can or most likely won't become a real-world module. There's a lot of great stuff. As most of you know, my two favorite modules, or these third-party or free mods that you can get in DCS World, is one, the T-45 Glosshawk, a really awesome aircraft that you can get, and I have a lot of videos that you can check out on that, as well as the H-60 project, led by a team by this guy, if you can say his name. So, most of you know that I am retired Air Force, survival and rescue operations background. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And I worked in the aircrew life support, aircrew survival training, Air Force rescue, and physiology background. And I have a video with this thumbnail on it. If you want to look in there and see more boring stuff about me, you can find out all the different things that I got to work on while I was in the Air Force. Like I said, jack of all trades, master sergeant of none. And I was very fortunate to have all the exposures and all the friendships and all of the deployments that I had. I got to touch a lot of different aircraft and work with a lot of different missions in the Air Force. So I was very blessed. So something you guys might not know is I have also worked on two formal development teams for Bohemia Interactive Simulations. I was on the team as the aviation consultant and chief test pilot for Bravo 01 Studios from 2017 to 2019, while we were conducting, actually it was from 2015 to 2017, while we were conducting tests or operational checks for the Jets DLC, which was started by two friends of mine, Josh Carpenter and John Spartan, and they went out and formed a company called Bravo 01 Studios, and then they hired artists and encoders and sound technicians and writers and other talent like myself, which I have to say I have no real skills other than I have a really incredible memory and I network well, where I surround myself with smarter people than me. In that DLC, we created three fictional aircraft based off of real aircraft models, but we had to come up with unique cockpit designs. Plus, we made the Sentinel drone out of an existing module. I think that's the MQ-25. Correct me if I'm wrong. By the way, I should say right here, I am no expert at any of this. Please feel free to correct, to clarify, or to inject anything you'd like to share in the comments. As long as it's not classified, and if you keep it civil, I'm sure it will last. So in this module, in this DLC, we actually were the first ones, through Bohemia was really the first that did this, is they put people in blue screen suits and had them go around and do all the motions. If you go to Bohemia Interactive's YouTube channel, you can see videos when they did this back 5-6 years ago. We were the first ones to do deck crew animations in a video game that I saw. That was pretty cool. If you guys know of any that predate this Jets DLC, let me know. Put a link in the description below, or in the comments below. And we basically took a basic, simple game engine like that runs Arma 3 and put all this information in it, so you had kind of a futuristic look to it. You know, Arma is kind of a futuristic game, you know, into the mid 20-somethings, 2050s, 2030s, stuff like that. And it worked out really good. So one of those coders also, after we finished that project, went and started his own company called Savage Game Designs, and he took a collection of the modders from the Unsung Heroes mods for Arma 2 and Arma 3, and created a company called Savage Game Design, and they hired me to join the team as an aviation consultant for the DLC for SOG Prairie Fire. And in this DLC, this is probably one of the best DLCs ever made for Arma 3. There's a lot of good ones, so don't quote me on that, but this is one of the best ones. The feedback we've gotten so far in the last 2 years since it was released has been really good. So this project took over 2 years to do, from conception to release, and it was mostly because we worked with actual SOG members from Vietnam and other experts in the field with various aircraft and terrains and storylines and everything. This module or this DLC was really put together well. It took a long time. I'm so glad they didn't rush it because it's got so much to offer. These are graphics that I grabbed from the internet, from SOG Prairie Fire, ARMA, and other places, but they don't represent what it really looks like in game. It looks a lot better in game. So my job during this DLC was to create and build all of the database for the artists and encoders for all of the aircraft, aircrew, and airfield information for Vietnam. And then some of the additional things that I did was consult them when they had a question about what this gauge does or what that gauge does and how it should function, and what this flapper or this thing on the airplane does, how it should work for the game. That's where I got involved in everything. And it was all about jets and helicopters, and it was pretty cool to work on. Like I said, a little bit of pay, a whole lot of fun, but really rewarding with the type of people. The heroes that I call are those encoders and artists and the leaders that actually take the time to form a formal company and get started with something like this and see it to the end. That takes courage, and it also takes organizational skills and communication skills, which all of the people involved in these two DLCs had. Recently, as much as last year, I got picked up by Razbam as a closed beta tester, and I ended up turning into an aviation aerospace consultant for that, and I helped Spectre and the rest of the Razbam team along with everybody else's input. I didn't do it by myself. I just pointed out things and gave them references where they could fix it, and we were able to correct a lot of the original 7 runways markings and spacings and stuff. And you can get the idea with these are slides that I actually sent to Spectre during the development phase before the release of things I recommended we change, and how we made that a success. Little corrections in some of the artwork, and also a little bit of corrections in some of the actual procedural details on how things are marked and diagrammed on airfields and stuff. I was also a test pilot and just a performance test. I did it with 2 different systems. My old rig that I built in 2018, and then my new rig that I built just last year in September or October of 2022. Boy, it's hard to remember what day it is or what year it is. So, but pretty much you get the message, what I did with that, and I'm still on call with them to help out if they need me. But it's pretty much the real work's being done by you guys and the feedback that they're putting in. So back to third-party modules or unofficial modules. The Air Combat Sim podcast has a really good podcast about it from 2021, where they interviewed 3 different developers at the same time on 3 different modules that were really well received in DCS World. And my 2 favorite, as I said, were the H60 like you see here, and there's all different types of skin models. My favorite personally is the H860 Golf. That's the helicopter that I flew around in the back of in an exercise capacity in Iceland, and it was pretty fun. The T45 is, I think, probably the best. It's matter of fact, it's probably the highest need for real-world training in DCS World for those guys like us in the Air Warfare Group and a few others like the Tactical DCS Group that really take document-based or doctrine-based training and try to apply it to DCS World. And we usually whittle it down on the stuff that we don't have to fake. It's hard to fake bleeding in the simulator world, and you also want to keep it fun. So this would create a great saltwater or CV ops training platform. Even though the real world Navy is going away from using this as a carrier qual, they're looking at, I think if they haven't already moved to, they're moving carrier qualification to the RAG or to the Fleet Replacement Squadrons, FRS. But this module integrates very well with DCS World. None of these modules are perfect. As a matter of fact, you'll notice that there are no aircrew right now in the H60 mod. And then if you look at the pilot models in this, they look really good. They have the start of what looks like the U.S. Navy flight equipment, something that was in my purview when I was in the Air Force. Although you'll see that there's no masks, they don't have any oxygen masks or any hookups or proper harness or anything yet. But This module flies nice in DCS World. The flight model is pretty advanced for what its current state is. It's not perfect yet, but if it does get some love, it'll come a long ways and stuff. It's a really beautiful art model. It's actually too clean, and I said that in many videos before. That's a little too clean. So it's integrates well with the weather. Looks good in the cockpit. Gives you the feel like you're actually hunched down in a T-45 in the front. So this module could go all the way. I really do think it could. So speaking of that, what does it take to get a module all the way? Well, number one, I think you have to be a professional. What does it mean to be a professional? It means that you have locked in your code and you actually did not rip off that code from somebody else. You're using the C++ skills and the Lua skills needed for DCS World, of course, but if somebody else created proprietary code to get something to do a certain way, you either have to get those guys permissions to use it, especially if it's a commercial product that they've put out there, and it's something to do. Even if it's something that somebody else put in a mod, it doesn't hurt to go ask, hey, can I borrow this for my module? And they might say, hey, yeah, as long as you don't sell it for profit and stuff like that. All of your art has to be original. You can't go and port from some other video game, grab some unoriginal art that you didn't do or something you ripped off from the internet. And everything. It needs to be something that you actually created that is original, that's not going to create any legal problems later down the road. And then the sounds. I can't really emphasize this as much as it needs to be emphasized. We had guys on the Arma 3 Jets DLC team that were actual sound technicians that we hired, one guy in Europe and one guy in Brazil, and they actually went to military bases and captured sounds for our aircraft that we used and tailored. And the neat thing about this is with computer software, you capture one sound, then you can morph it into anything you want. But we had a collection of sounds, and I'm sure ED has a collection of sounds that they keep in a database somewhere so that they can pull them out and use them when they need to. That's one of the reasons that we pay so much for these modules, is because there's a lot of work that goes into capturing that essence of the pure environment, those noises in the cockpit and those noises outside, and not just the engines and the afterburner and stuff. So make sure that you have all original material. That's going to be the big key. Is you're going to have to be able to prove that this didn't come from anybody else. And in today's world of modern technology and digital forensics on the internet, it is easy to find out. If YouTube can find out where I got a song that I didn't even know the name of it, they will tell me what the name of it was every time I try to post something. So. Now, for Eagle Dynamics, if you want to submit something as a project, here's what you're going to need. You're going to need access to the SDK. Well, how do you get access to that SDK? You have to go through this huge process, which is really worth it. It's designed to protect you, but it's also designed to protect the company. So some of the things that you'll need to consider is you'll need to get screenshots and video of the external 3D model and 6 degrees of freedom cockpit. You also need to get porting test information to them, or testing videos to show that the module actually integrates, the cockpit actually integrates into DCS World and the model. You'll need to make sure that you have your basic instrument information like the altimeter, the airspeed indicator, velocity vector, the G meter, the fuel gauge, etc. You need to make sure that those are actually working and functioning for integration into DCS World. It's really good to submit a team resume or a resume of all the team members individually that shows their experience in C++ and Lua coding. And it needs to be in regard to both cockpit systems and flight dynamics. And again, part of the reason that team resumes are really important, and we need to know who we're working with, or who they need to know who they're working with, just like when I was on the ARMA teams, is there are people out there, there are bad actors that have gotten in trouble before for ripping off other stuff, and so it's we don't want to put anybody at risk, ED or any of the subcontractors that are working with ED, third-party developers, at risk for lawsuits, because this world is pretty expensive when it comes to legal. And design docs. Those are things that are basically a detailed explanation of the implementation of all the cockpit systems and the aircraft, of course. And then you'll need to get proof of your documentation. Anything that you can provide open source, like operations manual, including sensors and weapons if available. And again, that's where a lot of people run into roadblocks, because a lot of the stuff that you may be thinking about working on, like when somebody says they have a really good F-35 module for any video game, I say no, you don't. And then finally, optional is SME information. If you've got any pilots or former maintainers or anything that have worked on the airplane or flown the aircraft in the past, it's always good to get that. Now, once you get all that together, you submit it to WAGS via email. And again, as soon as you have an idea, I would contact WAGS via email. You can get his email address from Big Nui or from 9line through the community management team. They're both associate producers of DCS World, and they are really good at what they do. Those guys have been a huge help to our team over here at Air Warfare Group and helping us guide our content so that it supports the product, also supports the community at the same time. That's our main goal here, is to help get you guys turned on about realistic training, to enjoy some of the actual awesome mods that are available out there, plus all of the software. And my rule is never pay full price for anything. Always get it on sale. You guys know me as Juice. I am that Air Force guy that's really old, that's been playing flight sims for almost 40 years, and I just crossed over. December 1st was entered into my 41st year in the aerospace industry. It's a great time to be alive when it comes to computer flight sims. But before you go, I just want to make sure, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps push it up in the algorithm so other people will see it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, I would recommend you hit that subscribe. You can smash that notification bell if you want, or just keep coming back. That's, I don't have really any notification bells because I don't like to get pinged on that. But it's up to you. If you want to, every time we release something new, if you want to see it, you'll get notified about that. Also, please check out our videos. You'll see some of those on in our playlist and our video content. And we have a lot of stuff that is still coming out. People are commenting on and finding for the first time that they haven't seen in 2 years. And I've gotten comments about, where has this been all my life? This just saved me 2 years of headache trying to work out this problem or that problem. So you can always put a comment in one of our videos of what you're looking for, and I will link you to one of our videos that might help you out. And we have a rule here at Air Warfare Group: we will not recreate a video if somebody else has already done a good job at that. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for watching this. Please, please, please share with a friend if you think it might help them. And get out there and fly DCS World, guys. Get into a group. Even if you're not big on multiplayer, find a few friends that you can team up with on a host server. You can port forward, you can host your own game, or you can set up your own dedicated server like we have. And I recommend Tactical DCS and the Viper Crew. There's two great communities, both that I was played a small part in helping to set up, that I still stand behind as two of the best communities in DCS World today. I'll put links to their Discords where you can go in there and meet people in the description below. And with that, you guys have a great 2023.